morning sun shines on the gleaming hide of a muscular ranch horse. The aroma of bacon and coffee drifts from the wood cook stove at a cow camp. Silver spurs jingle as the men and women of the West get set for another day in the saddle. From the heart of Canada's finest ranching country, this is the Spirit of the West with rancher and horse trainer Hugh McLennan and his collection of music, poetry, and conversations with the folks who live and work with horses and cattle in the Spirit of the West.
From Mexico to the Yukon, the folks who spend their days horseback looking after cattle on the ranges of the West have great stories about their parents and grandparents, and one of the nice things about getting together is to share some of that history. Shirley and Harvey Canning were on our cruise this January, and just before we went our separate ways, we got a few minutes for a short visit with this longtime ranching couple, and Shirley had some special memories of her dad.
He started when he was 14. Went out on his own. His dad sent him out to the cow camp at Lone Butte to feed the cows all winter, of course with team and sleigh in those days.
Oh man. Now those of us who use our horses for ranch work like to think that they enjoy their jobs, but Baxter Black questions that whole idea this week.
I tell people my horse likes to rope, meaning, I guess, that he likes to chase cattle. But he spends a lot of time in the pasture with cows and calves, and, I've never seen him chase them on his day off.
On the Rangeland News, it looks like the sticker shock for consumers might be over at the retail meat counter.
Beef prices down over 7% from 2015.
Now, on a big outfit with 1,000 or more mother cows, not many of them actually are given names by the cowboy crew, but if you run a smaller family bunch, the process of naming the cows can get pretty creative. And that's what our Cowboy Poetry Spotlight's about today.
I was never very fussy about their looks. Besides, it's easier to find a name for a cow that stands out of the crowd.
And on the horse training file, a rider says his horse really frustrates him when he tries to open a swinging gate from his back. About the time he's in position and reaches for the latch, the horse swings his butt away from the gate, and he does this every time. Well, that's usually pretty easy to fix. We'll deal with it today. And I've got another classic song of the West, and we'll get started with this good one from R.W. Hampton.
Sometimes in the evening, I'm out of horseback, my mind goes to another time when men were free to roam. The prairie was their home, and the only thing above them was the sky. Back to the good old days, stories of Will James, Rawhide Rawlins, Charlie Russell, and the rest. As I blink away the tears, all my fences disappear, and for a little while, I'm a drifting cowboy. Drifting cowboy rides the range on a bald-faced sorrel bronc, on a wood that's seen its better days. He just pulled out of yesterday, heading westwards for tomorrow, for new people, different land, and better pay. Drifting cowboy don't wear no man's brander. If he does, it's all haired over, 'cause he pulled up his stake pen long ago. His past is written in the lines on his face, and his future is written on the wind. The only friend to a drifting cowboy. Then my mind comes back to the right here and now, to the care and troubles of the present day, to the blue sky up above, those old mesas that I love, and that old setting sun that seems to say, hey, you best be on your way. But I pause for one last time to watch an eagle as he circles above me in the sky. And I wonder at his freedom, wonder what it thinks of me, 'cause I know our hearts are the same. Like my brother the eagle, My spirit rides the wind. Oh, don't you wish you could follow him, drifting cowboy? Drifting cowboy rides the range on his own home ranch, where he's been a-punching cows for some time. And it ain't really half as bad as he sometimes likes to think, 'cause although he's a home guard, he knows down deep inside he's a drifting cowboy. Drifting cowboy.
So there we were in the airport boarding lounge. Ranchers from the Caribou, Shirley and Harvey Canning, were among the group of cruisers, and just before we boarded the plane, I cornered them with my recorder. So Shirley and Harvey, I'm from, don't go away, get back in here. I'm from CNN, and we're just doing a survey on people that look like they're genuine Western folks. We're just wondering if you know anything about this Spirit of the West cruise thing. Have you ever heard of that?
I sure have.
You have? What have you heard about it?
I heard it's a hell of a trip, and we really enjoyed ourselves.
You had a good time?
I certainly did, and so did my bride.
So you, I understand, spent your younger days around Lumbee?
We spent 20 years there. We went down when my mom and dad both got sick. And they had a mortgage ranch there with a partner. Of course, I inherited the mortgage after they both died.
That's what our kids are going to do, too.
Yeah. Anyway, it was 20 years. It was a good place to raise our kids, too. Right. It really was.
Right. Did you have cattle?
Yeah, we had Black Angus there. Yeah,
purebreds?
Yeah. Got him from Art Hay. I don't know if you ever knew Art Hay, but he was an Angus breeder from Lumbee. Yeah.
Yeah, there's some good cattle operations down there.
There certainly is, yeah.
So you were there for quite a while? And
we were there 20 years, and then we came home.
Oh, yeah.
Back to 100 Mile.
Back to 100 Mile.
Yeah.
Right. And been there ever since?
Been there ever since.
Oh, yeah.
Now our kids are up here, too.
Right. Now, when you had your Black Angus herd, did you have a summer range that was adjoining the ranch, or was it quite a ways away?
We had no range down there. It was all in fenced, fenced pastures, yeah.
So, did you use horses with them much?
Oh, yeah, I had a real good horse, horse, yeah.
What was he like?
Well, he was a 7/8 Arab, and he was just a real sensible guy. Pretty good endurance horse.
Tempted to say something about that could be an exception, but I won't say that.
No, he was no high-headed bronc or nothing. He was
that
just
right?
a hell of a good horse, yeah.
More from Shirley and Harvey in a few minutes. Now, I wonder if many of you remember the cowboy troubadour of the 1950s and 60s. He was on radio and television, great singer, and his name was Stu Davis. Well, his son, Dwayne Stewart, is a wonderful musician and singer, and you'll hear a song from him when the Spirit of the West continues right after this. Welcome back to the Spirit of the West. I was visiting with Shirley and Harvey Canning recently, and the discussion, as it often does, turned to horses. And Harvey was telling me about one of his best ranch horses, and it just happened this horse had a lot of Arabian blood in him. Found sometimes with Arabs, and I've had some pretty decent ones. And, but I found sometimes if you got to run them wide open for a little while, it takes them the rest of the day to kind of settle back down.
I don't know. I took that Arab of mine into several endurance rides and placed quite well with him. He'd run all day. Well, not run,
really?
But, he'd travel all day. Good traveler. Didn't lose a lot of weight. He lost 15 pounds in a 50-mile endurance ride, and I lost 7.
Is that right? Yeah. Holy smoke.
But I ran quite a bit of the ways, too.
You did?
Oh, yeah. Sure. Why not?
Boy, that's grueling for the horse and the rider.
Well, I had him in good shape. He was ready.
Well, if he's doing a lot of ranch work.
He was working all the time, yeah.
Well, your country fairly rugged, even where your inside pastures were?
Yeah, well, you know what Lumbee's like. The valley bottoms are fine, and it's good ground down there, but the hillsides it's kind of tough in there, yeah?
Yeah.
Timber country.
Yeah. I hauled wood chips out of the Weyerhaeuser sawmill.
Oh, did you?
In the Kamloops for a few years.
Did you?
Huh. Well, it's a nice drive. Look at all these good cattle on both sides of the highway.
Well, yeah.
I might have even seen yours.
Well, not in Lumbee, I don't think, but up through Falkland, there's lots of good cattle in there,
too.
Yeah,
all the way down.
Yeah, I like it in that country, too.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and I'd like to talk to your bride for a minute or two.
Well,
that's okay, Harvey.
She'd love to talk.
Now, this is Harvey's bride, Shirley. How many years you guys been in double harness now?
50 years, Hugh.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
You look like newlyweds.
Oh, thank
Man,
you.
oh, man.
Well, he still calls me his bride every chance he gets.
Yeah. Well, my bride and I will be marking 53 in
That's
April.
what Billy was telling me.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem possible, does it?
No.
53?
It really doesn't.
Yeah.
It's gone so fast. And your dad was a legend. He was inducted into the BC Cowboy Hall of Fame a few years back.
About 4 years ago now.
Right.
Yeah. Unfortunately, Harvey and I weren't able to go because Harvey was having surgery at UBC, getting a new hip, and we couldn't go.
He didn't even tell me that.
Yeah.
Does he still ride?
No, not right now. He's not riding.
Yeah.
Our horses are a little bit pot-bellied.
No, you guys certainly aren't.
No, well...
We'll get back to Shirley and Harvey shortly. Now, back in the 1950s, there were some well-known singing cowboys that we all heard on the radio, daily or weekly, and one of them was the cowboy troubadour Stu Davis, who went on to a very successful career in radio and television, and I well remember listening to those programs when I was just a kid, and on some of them, Stu would bring on his son Dwayne, who was, maybe 9 or 10 years old, and boy, could that kid sing. Well, many years later, my brother Jim and I had the honor of sharing a stage or two with Dwayne, and boy, what a thrill that was. His real name, Dwayne Stewart, and we just don't hear enough of him these days. Here he is.
The elk are coming down from the hills each morning. The winter grazing's better here below. The evening sky last night was like a warning. It's cold outside and looking like early snow. This morning, it's cold outside and looking like early snow. Every year this town is getting smaller. The kids can hardly wait to up and go. And now they've closed the high school down forever. It's cold outside and looking like early snow. This morning, it's cold outside and looking like early snow. Clouds up over the mountains getting darker every day. As soon as the wind turns westerly, they're bound to head this way. There's been no rain all summer, and all the grass is brown. The rodeo is over, and the circus is leaving town. Another farming family left the valley. They left last night, nobody heard them go. They left the tractor standing in the hayfield. It's cold outside and looking like early snow. This morning, it's cold outside and looking like early snow. The elk are coming down from the hills each morning. The winter grazing's better here below. The evening sky last night was like a warning. It's cold outside and looking like early snow. This morning, it's cold outside and looking like early snow. It's cold outside and looking like early snow. This morning, it's cold outside and looking like early snow.
Beautiful voice, and he's a great picker too. Dwayne Stewart. Now let's get back to the airport boarding lounge where I had cornered Shirley and Harvey Canning. Found sometimes with Arabs, and I've had some pretty decent ones. And, but I found sometimes if you got to run them wide open for a little while, it takes them the rest of the day to kind of settle back down.
I don't know. I took that Arab of mine into several endurance rides and placed quite well with him. He'd run all day. Well, not run,
really?
But, he'd travel all day. Good traveler. Didn't lose a lot of weight. He lost 15 pounds on a 50-mile endurance ride, and I lost 7.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Holy smoke.
But I ran quite a bit of the ways, too.
You did?
Oh, yeah. Sure. Why not?
Boy, that's grueling for the horse and the rider.
Well, I had him in good shape. He was ready.
Well, if he's doing a lot of ranch work.
Yeah, he was working all the time, yeah.
Well, your country fairly rugged, even where your inside pastures were?
Yeah, well, you know what Lumby's like. The valley bottoms are fine. It's good ground down there, but the hillsides it's kind of tough in there, yeah?
Yeah.
Timber country.
Yeah. I hauled wood chips out of what it was, the Weyerhaeuser sawmill.
Oh, did you?
In the Kamloops for a few years.
Did you?
Huh. Well, it's a nice drive. Look at all these good cattle on both sides of the highway.
Well, yeah.
I might have even seen yours.
Well, not in Lumbee, I don't think, but up through Falkland, there's lots of good cattle in there,
too.
Yeah,
all the way down.
Yeah, I like it in that country, too.
For sure. Yeah, and I'd like to talk to your bride for a minute or two. That's okay, Harvey. Yeah. Now, this is Harvey's bride, Shirley. How many years you guys been in double harness now?
50 years, Hugh.
Congratulations. Yeah. You look like newlyweds.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, man.
Well, he still calls me his bride every chance he gets.
Well, my bride and I will be marking 53 in April.
What Billy was telling me. It doesn't seem possible, does it?
No.
53?
It really doesn't. Yeah. It's gone so fast. And your dad was a legend. He was inducted into the BC Cowboy Hall of Fame a few years back.
About 4 years ago now.
Right.
Yeah. Unfortunately, Harvey and I weren't able to go because Harvey was having surgery at UBC, getting a new hip, and we couldn't go.
He didn't even tell me that.
Yeah.
Does he still ride?
No, not right now. He's not riding.
Yeah.
Our horses are a little bit pot-bellied.
No, you guys certainly aren't.
No, well...
Well, coming up, the one and only Baxter Black looks at the life of a backyard horse when the Spirit of the West continues right after this.
Howdy, friends. This is Baxter Black on Spirit of the West with Hugh McLennan with a little peek at pleasure horses. What holds the loaded 30,000-pound trailer to the heavy-duty truck? What holds a 38-foot RV trailer to the dually? What holds the 2-horse trailer with your daughter's favorite pony to the half-ton pickup? Well, the odds are it's a B&W trailer hitch, probably a turnover bowl, American-made, employee-owned, customer-tuned, and proud of their part in America's greatness. B&W, holding things together down the road. I consider myself a former horse mechanic. The horses I did veterinary work on were ranch and feedlot beasts of burden, working animals. I was always a little vain about distinguishing that my patients worked for a living, earned their daily oats. Backyard horse practice sort of ranked with spaying cats and trimming Chihuahuas' toenails. That same sort of snobbery still exists, I think. Somehow working on a valuable racehorse, a Budweiser Clydesdale, a ranch horse, or a rodeo bucker is interpreted as doing something more worthwhile than floating teeth on a backyard plug. These working horses have a purpose. That dignifies your veterinary efforts. All your acquired ability isn't being wasted in frivolous endeavor on a horse that really isn't working for a living. But with all that being said, what's work to a horse? Is it something they feel good about it? Does it give them a sense of self-worth? Of course not. Well, my little mare, I better finish this hay. Crooked Jack will be coming to take me to the mall where I can walk in circles all day and give joy to the little boys and girls. I'm so proud of you, Geldy. You bring so much happiness into the world. Coyote Cowboy proverb. Work to a horse is anything he does because you make him do it. I tell people my horse likes to rope, meaning, I guess, that he likes to chase cattle. But he spends a lot of time in the pasture with cows and calves, and, I've never seen him chase them on his day off. But you good horsemen say, this horse loves to run, or he was born to buck, or I can tell he loves to pull this plow. He can't wait for me to crack the whip. Well, I see them run and kick up their heels in an open pasture, but not for long. Are they having fun? Can horses have fun? Are they bored? Can they get bored? Well, I'd be hard put to argue that they can't have fun, get bored, or get mad, but horses are domesticated animals, under the care and pleasure of those who pay for their keep. It is not their choice, it is ours. At our pleasure, even if our pleasure is team roping, showing Arabs, or as just a pet. But in the end, it's all work to a horse. This is Baxter Black on Spirit of the West with Hugh McLennan, brought to you by B&W Turnover Bowl.
How about a weekend pass to the 20th anniversary edition of the Kamloops Cowboy Festival, March 17th to 20th, 2016? What a lineup of entertainers. Tom Cole, Brian Solomon, Alan Mulberg, Gary Felgard, Ed Peekikoot, Tim Huss, the Western Spirit Band, and many of the performers from the very first festival 20 years ago. There's the BC Cowboy Hall of Fame inductions, the Spirit of the West Rising Star Showcase, dinner shows, evening concerts, and a wonderful art and gear show with the best artisans in the West. Workshops on everything from guitar picking to songwriting with the best experts in the field. For folks in Alberta, Frontier Bus Lines has a great package trip. You can get all the information at bcchs.com or call 1-888-763-2221. Well, the Rangeland News is next, and just before we get to all those interesting developments, here's a couple of great names who will both be at the Kamloops Cowboy Festival. Tim Huss and Gary Felgard teamed up for this neat song a while back. The Man with a Big Hat is buying.
In a little bar in Alberta, on a sultry summer day, a cowboy came in off the road just to pass the time away. He pulled a stool up at the bar, he pushed his hat back on his head, he ordered up Canadian rye, then he looked at me and said,
"Stories, I could tell you stories about the traders on the plains. Talk about the Frank slide and the coming of the trains. I could tell you stories about the buffalo that roam. Sing you the song of settlers come out looking for a home.
And the man with the big hat is buying. Drink up while the drinking is free. Drink to the cowboys, dead or a-dying. Drink to my compadres and me." His shirt was brown and faded, his hat was white and black. The pants that once were blue were gray, they had a pocket gone in black. He had a finger missing from the hand that rolled the smoke. As he laughed and talked to cowboy life, he knew it wasn't no joke. He said,
I rode on cattle drives from here to Saskatoon. 10 days in the saddle, weary to the bone. I rode from here to Peace River without a woman's smile. The campfire where I cooked my grub was the only light for miles.
and the man with the big hat is buying. Drink up while the drinking is free. Drink to the cowboys, dead or a-dying. Drink to my compadres and me. He rested easy at the bar with his foot upon the rail, as he talked all about the times he'd had while living on the trail. The silence never broken as the words poured from his lips, and just as quiet as the buck knife that rested on his hip, he said,
I've seen the day so hot that your pony could not stand. And if your water bag ran dry, don't start to counting on the land. And winters, well, I've seen winters, and when your boots froze in the snow, and your only thought was leaving, but you had nowhere to go.
And the man with the big hat is buying. Drink up while the drinking is free. Drink to the cowboys, dead or a-dying. cigarette. Then he turned towards the door. I could hear the spurs a-jingling as the boot heels hit the floor. He tightened up his belt a notch. He pulled his hat down on his head. And as he turned to leave, he turned to me. And this is what the cowboy said.
The high lines chase the highway, and the fences close the range. And a CA working cowboy is a sight that's mighty strange. The cowboy's life is lonely, and his love life's not the best. But if it had not been for folks like me, then you would not have no West.
And the man with the big hat is buying. Drink up while the drinking is free. Drink to the cowboys, dead or dying. Drink to my compadres and me. So we did all night long.
The news of the rangeland, a roundup of news and coming events from around the West. We'll tell you what's new under the western sky right after this word from the cattlemen of Western Canada.
Ranching is an important part of our community. From farm to fork, it takes a year and a half to bring beef to your table. It all begins with a calving in the spring of the year. After 6 months in their mother's care, calves are weaned and begin a feeding regimen where they are fed both hay and grain. Ranchers are proud to provide wholesome beef for BC families. This BC Ranching Moment is brought to you by local ranchers.
Now, the Rangeland News, top of page 1. The U.S. Department of Agriculture has just released some numbers on North American meat production and prices, and they may indicate where the fall cattle markets could be positioning. And with more, here's Rod Bain.
USDA's latest meat production and price forecast notes the current U.S. meat industry in its totality.
Increases year over year in production, increases year over year in trade. Yes, we have a strong dollar, but we've got increases in production, and we'll move some of that meat out the door into the export markets.
Now, World Agricultural Outlook Board Chair Seth Meyers says there were adjustments in production and price forecasts from the previous month, such as for beef.
A little bit of a trimming in beef production in 2016, and that's from what we've observed in the cattle on feed and the cattle report since the last WASDE. And the main theme of that adjustment would be some of those animals being pushed from arriving in the first half of the year to arriving in the second half of the year and beyond. So that's trimming production just a little bit and moving more production from the first half to the second half of the year.
And with increased supply comes lower prices for all major meat categories. Beef prices down over 7% from 2015, and hog prices down almost 6% year over year. I'm Rod Bain reporting for the U.S. Department of Agriculture in Washington, D.C.
Well, meat lovers might find it appealing to take a fresh steak from the store right to their home grill, but research continues to show that freezing the steak and cooking it later actually improves the tenderness of certain cuts. Kansas State University meat scientists say they've confirmed previous findings about the impact of freezing strip loin and inside round steaks. In a recent study, they tested 6 major muscles from the hindquarter and found out that these 2 cuts were as much as 10% more tender after freezing. A Saskatchewan rancher faces criminal charges after police discovered more than a dozen pieces of farm machinery that had disappeared from rural residences and farm machinery dealerships in the Saskatoon, Bigger, Outlook, and Rosetown areas. Police say Ian Stables, 38, from Donovan, had been charged with 29 offenses, including 16 counts of possession of stolen property over $5,000. The charges were laid after police recovered 16 machines worth more than $1.2 million, including 5 John Deere tractors, 2 balers, 2 John Deere gators, 2 Dodge trucks, trailers, a mower, and various other items. The Douglas Lake Cattle Company has expanded its holdings in the Caribou-Chilcotin region with its recent purchase of the Risky Creek Cattle Company's Cotton and Deer Park ranches. Douglas Lake also owns the Alkali Lake Ranch, and a couple of years ago they purchased the James Cattle Company at Dog Creek. Previous Risky Creek Cattle Company partial owner Grant Huffman is retiring, and Steve Brewer, who's worked for Douglas Lake for 18 years, is the new manager. Well, here's something. At the Innisfail Auction Market, you won't want to miss the bucking stock sale. That's May the 31st. Stock will be bucked at the rodeo grounds at 1 p.m. Horses and bulls, and also selling will be pickup horses and ranch horses. The sale will be at 7 p.m. following dinner, and of course, there's 2 horse sales a month and cattle sales every Wednesday. Next horse sale is Saturday, March the 12th. And that takes us down to the final item. And you know, as we eagerly wait for the snow to disappear and spring to finally show up, I remember the last early spring we had. I just finished the chores and I called Billy out to listen to the singing of the birds, the chirping of the frogs, and the first signs of green grass popping up right behind the receding snow. But what I was most taken with was the beautiful aroma and fragrance in the air. And Billy came out and came over and she took a whiff, and then she pointed out that I was standing right next to the dryer vent, inhaling the scent of fabric softener. And that's the Rangeland News. Coming up on the Horse Training File, I'll offer a few simple suggestions for helping your horse help you open a swinging gait from his back, when the Spirit of the West continues right after this. Welcome back to the Spirit of the West. You know, when you spend several hours sorting cattle in a set of corrals, you know that if you have to get off your horse every time you need to open or close a gate, it gets pretty tiring. A good ranch horse should help you open and close swinging gates from his back, and there are a few simple things you can do to help him understand that job. And that's what's coming right up on the Horse Training File. First, though, our next Spirit of the West cruise is set for mid-June 2017, and it will be an 11-day Alaskan odyssey on Holland America. Some of the places we'll visit: Anchorage, Denali National Park, Seward, Glacier Bay, Skagway, Juneau, Ketchikan, down the Inside Passage to the beautiful Vancouver Harbor. And you can get all the details on this one on the cruise page at our website, hugh-mclennan.com, or just call the toll-free number 1-800-530-0131. Now, the Horse Training File. A rider says that his horse really frustrates him when he tries to open a swinging gate from his back. About the time he's in position and reaches down for the latch, the horse swings his butt away from the gate, and he says he does this every time. Well, to have a horse willingly sidestep up to a gate, stand quietly while you undo the chain or whatever, and then sidestep over as you open it, quietly walk through, and then smoothly help you get it closed from either the right or left side, looks easy, but it's a combination of a lot of factors that all need to be in place. First and foremost, the horse must be comfortable parking in neutral at the gate. If he starts to walk off as you reach for the latch, just let him and walk him in a few circles, and then come back and help him relax at the gate without reaching for the chain. Once park is established, some horses might have trouble staying balanced and not moving their feet when the rider's weight transfers from the center to the side. To establish this, just lean to one side or the other, coming back to center if you can, just before the horse moves his feet. Transferring a small amount of weight will teach the horse to brace against it, and then going back and forth will give him time to prepare for more each time, with some relief while passing center each time. Now, this brace we built to lean is the same brace that helps a horse to stand while you're getting on and getting off. When the horse can brace while you lean without leaving, then he's ready for the next step. And the next step would be to get the horse to accept the movement and the noise of the gait. It's helpful to have a gait that's balanced and only moves when you move it and doesn't fall to the same spot. When the horse is parked, lean over and just move the gait back and forth a few inches. If the horse is going to move, try and stop moving the gait before he moves and give him time to evaluate and accept the gait moving. And then keep increasing the movement and the noise until he accepts it at any level. And then move the gait and step one step towards it, stop, give him some time to think about what happened, and then just do it again. If at all possible, position your horse from the start so the gate swings away from him and he goes through the gate frontwards, and don't pull the gate into a green horse and bump his feet or let him think that the gate's chasing him. And if And when he gets away, you just taught him to outrun this uncertain object. And don't try backing the horse through the gate. If he's uncertain of the situation, and then you ask him to move and he can't see where he's going, you'll cause more uncertainty and resistance. Step the horse sideways and forward into the gate so he can always see where he's going and where the post and the gate are. And that's the horse training file. Something that keeps our horses healthy, happy, and feeling good is that daily feeding of Hoffman's Horse Ration. And you can find out more at hoffmanshorseration.com. How about a weekend pass to the 20th anniversary edition of the Kamloops Cowboy Festival, March 17th to 20th, 2016? What a lineup of entertainers. Tom Cole, Brian Salmond, Alan Moberg, Gary Felgard, Ed Peekecoot, Tim Huss, the Western Spirit Band, and many of the performers from the very first festival 20 years ago. There's the BC Cowboy Hall of Fame inductions, the Spirit of the West Rising Star Showcase, dinner shows, evening concerts, and a wonderful art and gear show with the best artisans in the West. Workshops on everything from guitar picking to songwriting with the best experts in the field. For folks in Alberta, Frontier Bus Lines has a great package trip. You can get all the information at bcchs.com or call 1-888-763-2221. Well, just before we get back to Harvey and Shirley Canning, here's a song that you might hear the Western Spirit doing live at the Kamloops Cowboy Festival next week. This one always reminds me of those great times at the old Kamloops cattle drives, where I had the privilege of riding with the drover crew and some of the cowboy and legends from around here, guys like Red Allison, Ernie Dobson, Wayne Barnett, Dick Threckle, Charlie Caldwell, and several others. We'd have breakfast by lantern light at the chuck wagon at about 3:30 a.m., and then with our travel cups in hand, we'd trot out of camp single file to gather the cattle for the day's drive. Here's R.J. Vandegrip.
We saddled our ponies and rode the big prairies. We suffered through winters and choked on the dust. We baked in the ovens of countless hot deserts and lived all the hardships that old cowboys must. We bathed in the waters of mountain spring rivers. We rode the bad horses, they were all that we had. We made meager wages and lost them to strangers and never considered we got treated bad. And oh, we were cowboys. We rode out of camp single file. And oh, we were cowboys. Thank God we were cowboys, at least for a while. Thank God we were cowboys, at least for a while. We got up at midnight for our turn at Nighthawk. We slept on the ground when we slept at all. We had hardtack and jerky and our Buckles coffee and stayed with the wagon from spring until fall. And oh, we were cowboys. We rode out of camp single file. And oh, we were cowboys. Thank God we were cowboys, at least for a while. Thank God we were cowboys, at least for a while. We're being replaced now with pickups and feedlots. We're fighting the battle against progress and style. We're moving to cities and working in factories. Darn right, we were cowboys. at least for a while. And oh, we were cowboys. We rode out of camp single file. And oh, we were cowboys. Thank God we were cowboys at least for a while. Thank God we were cowboys at least for a while.
Just thinking how I guess it was at least 5 years on that Kamloops cattle drive that my buckskin mare Lucky packed me on that entire journey from all kinds of interesting places. And she's still doing just fine. Well, now it's back to the boarding lounge at the airport with the flight announcements annoyingly in the background as I visited with Shirley and Harvey Canning. What kind of jobs did you do and did you have when you were growing up on the place?
When I was growing up, well, in my teenage years, I used to work on the guest ranch. And I worked for Helen and Chris Horn one whole summer, looking after Gus, who was my cousin. He was a baby at that point, and that's where I met Harvey.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's a story right there.
There's a story.
Turn that around on me.
And then Harvey and I were married, and then we moved to Lumby, and we had our boys, and I was a stay-at-home mom for about the first 15 years, and then I went to work. And believe it or not, I worked in libraries.
Really?
Yeah, I've worked in libraries all my life.
I found that anybody that's worked in a library makes an outstanding contestant on Jeopardy.
Oh, no. That would not be me.
Oh, gee. I'll tell Billy, we watch Jeopardy all the time. Somebody says they've worked in a library as a boy, they'll be good. They'll know the answer.
No, not necessarily. Because I mostly dealt with the people.
Yeah.
People were my thing, and they wanted certain books, and I got them for them. Yeah, that was my job.
Yeah. Did you ride much when you were growing up on the place?
When I was young, I used to ride. I can remember riding my dad's team up to the spring to get water, to drink water, hanging onto the
They'd be all harnessed up?
Oh, yeah, hanging onto the hames and trudging along up to the spring to get a drink. And then when Harvey and I were married, we've always had horses, and we did ride.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I haven't ridden much in the last few years, although I do have a horse.
You do?
I do.
What's he like?
What's she like?
He or she? That's a she.
She's a little quarter-horse mare.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, not very tall. Her name is Windy. Windy.
Oh, that's sweet.
She's a nice, gentle little thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And have you guys done lots of cruising before this one?
Oh, we've only ever been on one other cruise, and it was with Princess on our 25th anniversary. Yeah. So it was just like deja vu. It's her 50th year, and I didn't even realize that when we signed up.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what did you think of cruising with a bunch of ranchers and cowboys?
Oh, I loved it.
Yeah.
I just loved it. And Harvey and I both discovered that we knew probably half the people, even though we hadn't been with this particular group before, through connection, with other
funny
people.
How it works?
Yes. It's a small world.
What I love is listening to the stories that all these guys are telling after supper, sitting around the table and swapping everything from cabin stories to adventures with machinery and horses and crops and everything else.
Like, do you remember when?
Yeah, that reminds me of the time whatever. It's priceless stuff.
Yeah, and the odd joke here and there.
I'm sure glad you guys came, and Billy and I enjoyed
it.
having you guys along so much.
So happy we came.
And next we'll look at a seldom heard classic, Song of the West, and it'll be sung by the last of the Silver Screen Cowboys, the late Rex Allen Sr., when the Spirit of the West continues right after this. Welcome back to the Spirit of the West. Rex Allen Sr., the last of the Silver Screen Cowboys, made over 20 B-Western movies for Republic Pictures, starting in about 1950 with The Arizona Cowboy. And for the first dozen or so, Rex sang a few songs in each movie. Now, in the last 3 or 4, for some reason, Republic either edited out the songs or didn't have any in the script. And that's too bad. In 1951, though, a movie with the title Thunder in God's Country, Rex sang a beautiful song, and I just can't find out anything about the composer. The song is credited to a guy by the name of Irving Berlot, and that's about it. The song was also recorded by Roy Rogers and possibly a few others. Here's Rex in our classic Song of the West this week, Melody of the Plains.
All my life I've been a-riding in the roundup, punching cattle's been my life till today. But the roundup is over, and from now on I'm on my way. I'm just drifting down the trail to the sunset. I'm just following the sun and the rain. All I know is that hauntin', tauntin' melody of the plain. That's the song I keep singing, that's the tune that keeps bringing me the courage to travel along. Through the sagebrush I'm riding, by the clouds I'm a-guiding. All I need is the plains and my song. All my pals are heading westward to the Rockies, but to me the plains are calling to stay. All I know is that hauntin', tauntin' melody of the plains. My pals are heading westward to the Rockies, but to me the plains are calling to stay. All I know is that haunting, taunting melody of the plains.
And thanks to our good friends Jim and Ruth Quinn of Banff, Alberta, for making some of Rex's music available for the show. Well, Slim Hawk was raised on a cow outfit in South Dakota, not too far from where folks hear us every Sunday morning on KBFS from Belle Fourche. And Slim has been a working cowboy. He did a hitch in the U.S. Army. He worked as a commercial fisherman, a logger, and he finally owns his own cow outfit in Western Canada. And here's one of his unique poems about the cow herd on the home place.
For some years now, we've made a living with our cows, mostly. I was never very fussy about their looks. Besides, it's easier to find a name for a cow that stands out of the crowd. It may have gotten a little carried away, though. Our herd. I keep a herd of cows around. Well, at least I call them that. Most have a tail and at least 3 legs and things that feed their calves. But ugly, they're the worstest herd that ever pawed the ground. Rejects from the sale barn you'd never show in town. There's Liverlips, Limpy, and Wimpy. She looks like a cross with a yak. Prolapse, Pronghorn, and Pugnose, and a cow with a hitch in her back. Thunderbolt, Snarky, and Charger, they put us all up the rails. Stumpy and Short Stuff and Squatty's little sister, and all the cows with short tails. Handwarmer, Swingbag, and Old Pendulous. Cows that are well endowed, and a couple that hang so low to the ground that the calves have to drink upside down. Then there's Foot Rot and Snowshoes and Bobsled. They look like they're walking on skis. Moose Legs and Kiwi and the cows in between, and one we call Wobbly Knees. Granny, Old Ancient, and One Eye. They're older than Noah's son, and a longhorn with road maps on both of her sides and horns that weigh half a ton. But in spite of their lack of perfection, I'm content that they're mostly a cow. I've never complained or held them in doubt, at least not up until now. Only lately I've had a few opens. Those are cows that are missed by the bull, though I always buy a purebred and try to keep his feed bump full. Well, I almost got in a panic, 'cause calves have to pay the bills. I called up my veterinarian to bring out some tonic and pills. So he checked my outfit from upside to down. The vitamins, the minerals, and the muck. The cows and the bulls and the baler twine and, well, even the oil in my truck. And he stood there in kind of a cloudy daze, scratched his head at least once or twice, stared at my cows for a minute or two, and then he gave me his expert advice. He said, "You may find this hard to decipher, but those cows ain't the loveliest kind. If I was you, I know what I'd do. I'd find me a bull that was blind."
Well, thank you so much for making the ride. Sure hope you can saddle up and ride along next week right here at the same time when Dr. Michael Johnson will be back with the true story of how his lifelong love of team roping looked like it was over forever. A heartwarming story you won't want to miss. And thanks again to our great support crew, Mark and Kathy McMillan. You can see their beautiful place at meadowsprings.com. And of course, you'll see them all weekend long at the Kamloops Cowboy Festival. And check out our website at hugh-mclennan.com, where you can find some good gift ideas on our merchandise page and listen to past shows on our archives page. Oh yeah, and there is a copy of Alberta Beef Magazine on our kitchen table all the time. Garth and Lee and the crew do an amazing job covering the beef industry. You can subscribe by calling 403-250-1090 or see albertabeef.ca. Till next week, I'm Hugh McLennan. Hope to see you down the trail somewhere real soon.